Good evening, everyone. Meteorologist Carmelo Lattuca in the 1011 Now streaming studio. Plenty to talk about. We continue to have daily severe weather chances continuing tonight and through the day, Tuesday afternoon and evening. Tuesday does represent the best chance for severe weather here in the capital city. But let's start off with our weather almanac, or Lincoln weather almanac today. We did see a high temperature right around 90 degrees. That does beat the average high of 85 by 5 degrees. Still not close to that record of 101, but I don't think anyone's complaining that if we're not that warm out there today. The average low, 62 degrees. We recorded a low temperature of 63, so slightly above average for our morning temperatures. But let's take a look at the precipitation almanac just a little bit more closely. The deficit continues to grow, not only for the month, but for the year. We've seen 1.21 inches of rainfall so far this month. The normal at this point, just under 2 inches and a quarter, so we're running about an inch below average. For the year, 7.33 inches of precipitation. We should be closer to 13 inches overall, and we're running a deficit of over 5.5 inches, so certainly could use the moisture, and it does look like there is plenty to be seen, at least potentially, over the next 3 to 5, even the next 7 days. Now, low temperature-wise today, we were in the 60s for the most part across the state, 50s out into the Panhandle. We're talking 56 degrees in Alliance, 56 in Scottsbluff, 63 in Lincoln, almost 70 degrees out in Omaha this morning, and we could see a 70-degree low temperature as we get into the day tomorrow. But as we take a look at our sky view cams, we have mostly sunny to partly cloudy, maybe mostly cloudy skies at times across the state, but plenty of sunshine continuing now at this hour here in Lincoln as the sun begins to set. 8:04 p.m., we're still at 85 degrees at the airport, 87 degrees at the studio. Does feel like 88 degrees thanks to that dew point. A little bit humid out there at 67 degrees, and winds are light out of the south-southeast at 8 miles per hour. Lincoln temperature-wise, we are in the mid to upper 80s at this hour. Not a lot of variation to be seen. I think our lowest temperature on the map right now, 84 degrees. One of our warmest temperatures up to 88 degrees on the southwestern and western portions of town. Now, temperature-wise across the state, we are still generally into the 80s and close to 90 degrees in some spots. Down into the 70s out in Sydney, 77 degrees. That's the cool spot right now. We're at 87 in Omaha, 87 degrees in Tacoma. Those are the hot spots at this time, and 83 degrees up in O'Neill. Dew point-wise, 71-degree dew point out in O'Neill, so that's our most humid location, up to 69 degrees out in Shadron, down to 43 degrees in Scottsbluff. That's one of the drier spots, but mid to upper 60s overall in central and eastern Nebraska. That's raising our feel-like temperatures very slightly, but not too far off given that we're now into the evening hours. Certainly would be a little bit higher if we were out there earlier this afternoon. Dew point temperatures in the upper 60s, so kind of felt like it was right around 90 degrees, maybe a little warmer than that earlier today. But for the wind speed and direction, generally out of the south and southeast are right around 5, 10, 15 miles per hour. Not much in terms of wind gusts, up to 33 miles per hour in Imperial, 17 miles per hour in North Platte, but certainly not a windy day across the state by any means. Now for satellite radar, we did have some severe thunderstorms earlier in northeastern Nebraska. One severe thunderstorm warning, did have multiple severe thunderstorm warnings in northwestern Iowa, but the bulk of the severe weather activity right now remains in far western Nebraska and northeastern Colorado. We have severe thunderstorm warnings in far northwestern Nebraska, one severe thunderstorm warning in northeastern Colorado. There was a tornado warning earlier this evening out into northeastern Colorado, but severe weather-wise across the state, certainly not as bad as what it could have been, or at least projected to have been, but still isolated to scattered severe thunderstorms are possible this evening and into the overnight hours. Taking a look at the regional picture, we have severe thunderstorm warnings from Colorado, Nebraska, Wyoming, and up towards Montana. And a little bit look at the national picture, the bulk of our severe weather activity out into the west and down to the south. A tornado warning in Oklahoma, severe thunderstorm warnings from northeastern Texas down to the deep south, and that's where we're seeing most of the shower and thunderstorm activity across the United States. But weather alert wise, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch out into the Panhandle. That is going to continue until 10 p.m. this evening Central Daylight Time. Taking a little bit of a closer look at that, extends all the way up from Montana down into northeastern Colorado and once again far western Nebraska. It is possible this expands just a little bit depending on if these storms can hold together, but storms are expected to gradually weaken as we go into the overnight hours. But for your Father's Day, hot with possible storms. That's the top weather headline. Possible storms, more likely it will be hot out there, but severe weather is possible tonight through Tuesday, and then we'll see mainly hot conditions overall in the 7-day forecast, but certainly cooler Tuesday and Wednesday, struggling to get to 80 degrees potentially. Now playing out skycast for the rest of tonight in the regional picture, showers and thunderstorms east of the state as well as north and west of the state. Could see some isolated to scattered severe thunderstorms in northern Nebraska overnight tonight. Not expecting any severe weather outbreak by any means. winds, and will be generally quiet for the first half to the first 2/3 of the day on Sunday before afternoon and evening thunderstorm development continues in western, central, and perhaps eastern Nebraska as well, really blowing up across central and southern Nebraska as we go into the late evening hours and potentially into the overnight period as well. Damaging winds and large hail are the main concerns, but once again, cannot completely rule out a few tornadoes. Will be even quieter for the majority of the day on Monday, quiet through the afternoon and early evening before thunderstorms start to develop late Monday evening in southwestern Nebraska, and those will slowly expand east. For the severe weather outlook on Saturday, though, isolated severe thunderstorms possible in central and eastern Nebraska. Scattered severe thunderstorms continue to be possible, especially in western Nebraska and north and west of the state, as well as off to the south as well. As we get into the day on Sunday, the slight risk expands just a little bit further to the east. Does not include us here in Lincoln, but now western and central and northern Nebraska could see those scattered severe thunderstorms develop. On Monday, the slight risk continues to expand, now a little bit further to the east and a little bit further to the south. It's south central and southeastern Nebraska, still in that isolated aspect for severe thunderstorms, but certainly a wider coverage area possible on Monday into the evening hours. And then on Tuesday, that represents once again the best chance for severe weather here in Lincoln, anywhere from North Platte to McCook, the Tri-Cities, and off to the east in the capital city. Really the 2/3 of the state. I think the northern third, not under severe weather outlook at this time, but certainly a good chunk of the state could see severe weather as we go into the day on Tuesday. Now as we take a look at the flash flooding threat for Saturday, this would be for late evening hours and possibly into the overnight period. Marginal risk for some flash flooding in central and eastern Nebraska, better chance off to the south. On Sunday, that risk shifts off a little bit further to the east, diminishes just a little bit, but still isolated flash flooding not out of the question. Monday, that area goes up to the north just a little bit, doesn't include us here in Lincoln, but Tuesday is the best chance, I think, for any flash flooding. That would be in eastern Nebraska as we see those thunderstorms move off to the south, and they're not going to be very fast thunderstorms, at least at this time. It looks like they could be slow-moving, heavy precipitation producers, so we'll be watching out for Tuesday for that slight risk for flash flooding. Now, over the next 3 days, precipitation potential, lots of blues, a little bit of purple on the map, so we're talking about anywhere from right around 1/2 of an inch to an inch, maybe up towards 1.5 inches, but it does look like a good chunk of the state could see at least an inch of rain over the next 3 days. Certainly would be very beneficial in terms of beating down that deficit. And then over the next 7 days, as we wait for this to pop up here in just a moment or so, it does look like more of the state will be in that 1 to perhaps 2, maybe close to 3-inch range. We're seeing just a little bit more purple in northern and eastern Nebraska, so I think 1 to 1.5 inches up to 2 inches, maybe isolated higher totals than that, but certainly I think the bulk of our rain would be here in Lincoln Monday evening through the day on Wednesday. Now, as we move on now to our Skycast, we take a little bit more of a closer look over the state. Notice by 9 p.m., we're talking about storms maybe off to our northeast and maybe off to our northwest. Certainly not a lot of coverage out there tonight, but it is possible we could see some overnight severe thunderstorms, at least in far northern Nebraska. Once again, no severe weather outbreak expected overnight tonight. And then first half to the first 2/3 of the day on Sunday, pretty quiet, but we'll watch out for that afternoon development right around 4 or 5 p.m., more likely 6 to 7 p.m. in central and southern Nebraska, maybe close to the capital city. But we'll be watching out for this line of storms in central and southern Nebraska Sunday evening, perhaps into the overnight hours, and then ending around 1 to 2 a.m. before we quiet down for most of the day on Monday, and then we'll see another round of severe thunderstorms potentially late Monday evening off to our south and west, and then continuing perhaps into Tuesday morning. Forecasted low temperatures, meanwhile, will drop down to the 50s to the west, 60s in central Nebraska, right around 70 degrees here in Lincoln. High temperatures on Sunday, upper 80s to low 90s, very similar to what we saw today. Low temperatures Monday, dropping down into the 60s overall, with our highs climbing back up into the upper 80s to perhaps mid-90s. Tuesday morning, we start to see a little bit cooler temperatures off to our northwest, still in the 60s further to the east, but it's by Tuesday afternoon. Notice that cold front that we are expecting to move through cause those thunderstorms, really dropping our temperatures down for really 3/4 of the state, I would say. We're now down to the mid-upper 70s in central, northern, and western Nebraska, maybe right around 80 degrees in eastern locations, and then by Wednesday morning, 50s and 60s for low temperatures, and Wednesday afternoon warming up just a little bit back into the 80s overall, but certainly not expecting any 90s at this point. For your 7-day forecast, low 90s expected on Father's Day as well as on Monday, 80 degrees right around 80 Tuesday and Wednesday. Best chance of rain will be on Tuesday, but certainly Monday night through Wednesday evening. Then as we take a look at Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, those rain chances are really dropping down, mostly sunny conditions overall, but those temperatures are really starting to ramp up. 90 degrees on Thursday, 95 degrees Friday, and into the day on Saturday. Now for our 10-day forecast for maximum temperatures, notice that we're really all going to cool down on Tuesday, down to the upper 70s for most of us, but look at McCook, Friday and Saturday, the 20th and 21st, over 100 degrees possibly in McCook, and then we'll see mid to upper 90s overall, and then maybe cooling down once we get to the 23rd and 24th, possibly back into the upper 60s to low 80s. So certainly up and down over the next few days, but mainly warm overall, or over the next week for that matter. Dew point wise, going to remain humid across the area at least through the middle to maybe later parts of next week. It really won't be until that 23rd and 24th that we really drop down our humidity back into the 40s, 50s, and 60s, but certainly Thursday and Friday, dew points may be widespread into the 70s statewide. Precipitation chances, best chances overall, not only here in Lincoln, but across the state, Monday night into Tuesday and then into Wednesday. We're talking about a 30 to 60% chance of rain, certainly quiet across the state Thursday through Saturday, maybe even Sunday, and then as we cool down Monday and Tuesday, 23rd and 24th, those rain chances starting to return to the area. 8 to 14-day outlook, 22nd through the 28th, though, still looks like we'll be above average, at least across western, central, and eastern Nebraska. Average high climbing up into the mid to upper 80s, maybe jumping back into the 90s during this time frame. And then precipitation-wise, best chance for above average rainfall would be in far northeastern Nebraska. At least the entire state, though, has a chance of seeing above average precipitation. But once again, severe weather chances are possible over the next few days, including on our Father's Day and into the day on Monday and Tuesday as well. Tuesday, once again, best chance for severe weather here in Lincoln, damaging winds, large hail, maybe even an isolated tornado or two, and certainly hot over the next couple days, but we will cool down as we get into the day Tuesday and into the day Wednesday as well. Make sure to stay tuned to 1011 News at 10. I'll have the latest forecast details for the next 24, 36, 48 hours. Make sure to stay tuned to the news tomorrow as well. We might even have a weather alert day as we go into the day on Tuesday. Have a great night, everyone.